We're doing okay. I just need to get gallery view so you can see everybody.
Okay, do we have anybody new here tonight? New members or anything that want to introduce themselves? Okay.
Oh,
that's- Hearing
think I-
nothing. Go ahead.
This is Mike, NX5DX. Hello, gentlemen and ladies.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
You are about
Okay,
to be
first
a
thing.
new member.
So let's do minutes. Anybody anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes from last meeting?
No, speaker's not working.
None heard, then will somebody please offer a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Tom, anybody second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? Okay. Then let's go on to the treasurer's report. Ken, can you give us the treasurer's report?
I'll give you a treasury report just a second. I want to do something that has never been done in the history of the club that I know of.
I can't get the sound high enough. It's part of my problem.
There is,
No, it's not. I don't know why.
from the bank, showing you how much money we have.
Well, no, I was plugging it in.
I want to ask everybody, I'm gonna tell you first, we are in balance. I have reconciled and we're in balance with the bank. Figures are accurate from the bank's point of view. However, treasurer's report, I say we have $19,998.74 in the bank at the beginning of the month, which is different from what the bank says.
Let me flip this.
Does anybody have any reason why that could be?
Ken,
Anybody?
did you have any outstanding ballot checks
Yes,
for this?
that's what it is.
have
Somebody
one.
hasn't cashed a check yet.
I
And
have
so
one check.
The treasurer's report balance is unreconciled. In other words, it's basically like you're looking at your checkbook and, you know, at the beginning of the month, that's what it was. And there's some outstanding checks above that. So, and here's another cute one. We also had $30 that came in, that was dues. We had $173.73, as you can see here, which was a withdrawal. That was buying the books for the instructors and the two libraries. The tech book expired at the end of June. And so we needed to get new books to the Chesterfield and Henrico Library, and then the instructors all needed a new book. So that's what that was. However, on the treasurer's report, I have a debit card payment of $29.99, which the bank doesn't know about yet. That was for our email address. We have a RARC@email.com that we have to pay for once a year. But as I say, the bank doesn't know it, but we have in the bank, as far as the checkbook is concerned, $19,825.02. So close, but not exact. I shared that because there's going to be a discussion later on, and it's important for everybody to realize that if I share the bank statement with you, it's close, but it's not exact. And again, it's because of reconciling the bank, which you do with your own checkbook. And just to bring that to everybody's attention, that you got to be aware of that.
Ken,
Yes,
I have a check I didn't put in the bank.
that's okay. I mean, it's just, that's what causes the discrepancy. as we go month to month. I give you, as the treasurer, every expense that we have and every income that we have. Do that every month for you guys. So just to make that. I have 2 new members that I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
present to the club. Michael, how do you say your last name?
Pagano, Pagan O, Pagano.
Okay, he's in advance. His call sign is NX5DX. And I also have a Jeffrey Austin,
Augustine,
huh?
Augustine.
Augustine, who's a general, WH6GSY. So can I have a motion to accept these 2 gentlemen?
So move.
I
Second, please.
second.
Second, vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, there's your vote, Ken.
Yay, super.
They should have opposed.
That means I don't have to remove you guys from the remote station. I had already added you guys in there, so. I'm,
Okay, well, we're on the matter of finances and money for the club. I think Bruce has something he's trying to sell. Bruce?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I, a ham that some of you might know, I don't know. He's been around here for a while, apparently. I'll get his name. Once I get through dropping a little for myself here, I'm here. There we go. His name is Charlie Carr, N3AQQ. He's 105 years old.
Wow.
He has been living in Imperial Plaza, and he just moved to the Hermitage. And his daughter sent John a note saying he had some gear and he wanted to go to a ham radio use. So I met her yesterday, and I'll show you what we got. I'll try to show you what we got. I'll pass it around the guys here. This is what we got. Can't really see it that well. It's a MFJ 1622, I think it is, apartment antenna. Basically, it's a coil with a changeable stick on it. What do we call it?
Ram stick.
Whip, yes. I'm getting old now, so I get the words too well. But it's got a nice deep clamp you can use to clamp it to like the banister of a balcony or something like that. I looked it up. It's still being sold. It's quite old, but it's still being sold. See, Gigaparts wants $115 for it, and MFJ wants $140. It's an MFJ unit. This is brand new, never been used. They wouldn't let them. Imperial Plaza would not let them let him put it up. So anyway, we got that. If anybody wants to buy that, and I looked up on eHams, and eHams, I got this kind of like piece of junk, couldn't make it work. But I also got a couple of, once you set it up and get it going, it's a compromise sort of thing. But if you need it on vacation, or you need it for you get an apartment or something, it works just fine. Just gotta be careful with it and know how to tune it. So anyway, we got that from him and from his daughter.
5263.
So I'm figuring, it ought to be worth it. $100 to the club, if anybody wants it. So with that, I will turn it back. And if you want,
Anybody want?
it's an MFJ 1622. If you want to look it up.
Thanks, Bruce. All right, if anybody needs an antenna, there you have a deal. So get in touch with Bruce if you're looking for.
Yeah.
If somebody has an open mic, could you please? I'm having a lot of background noise. Could you please mute if you have noise in your room? Thank you. Okay. Next item of business. Is there any old business for tonight that anybody has? I want to take up some new business. We can.
No.
Anybody have anything? Okay, before I get into this, let me go ahead and call for
Thank you so
reports.
much. No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Does anyone have reports for us tonight? Any committees have reports? Okay,
I'll just tell you, the
Um,
station is working like a repeater, not even a blip.
good deal. All right, that's great. All right, no other reports then, right? Okay, then let's go ahead and what I wanted, Ken's gonna talk to you all in a little while about some financial stuff, but I wanted to bring up something. In the time that I've been president, we've never had a real accounting of what property the club owns. And I know we've had a number of yard sales and garage sales and things, got rid of a lot of the property that we had that was donated to us. But I'm understanding that there may be some property out there that members are holding. And we also, of course, have club property, like, for example, the remote station components and the repeater that we have and the D-Star repeater and stuff. So what I'd like to have happen before we change the guard in October, November, I'd like to have a good inventory taken of all the club's property so that we can present the incoming board in November with a list of everything the club owns. Now, I'm not asking that if anybody has any property that they're holding personally, that they bring it and dump it on the club at the church or something. What I'm asking is if you have any property or you know of any property that belongs to the club, could you report this in the form of just a memo or an email or something? Send it to the secretary, David, and let him know, what's out there. And we'll try to get an inventory compiled before the end of the fiscal year, which is, of course, is October 31st. I'm going to go ahead and ask Ken. I sent Ken. Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
Some years ago when Jim was president, and I put this in some of my emails, he essentially tried to do the same thing that you're doing, which is very good. And at that time, he had his club inventory sent in. And I don't know whether that's still available, is gone with the wind or not, but that might be something you could look for in the archives. That would save a lot of trouble. And for the record, I've got a power supply over here that belongs to the club, and I'll send you the serial number and all that sort of stuff tomorrow. But I don't know whether you knew about that or not, but I thought I'd share that with you.
Well, thank you. That's good information, Mac. I appreciate that. I'll try to get in touch with Jim and see. In fact, Ken, if you have it in the archives, if you can by any chance put your hands on it, it would be good to have. If not, I'll try to see if Jim still has a copy. But what we want to do is we want to be able to have the incoming board know what exactly the club has, because I think we have some assets that are worth money, and we should know where everything the club owns, and even if it's out there entrusted to somebody, we still should know that it's there and that it's actually the club's property. So we'll try to get that put together in time for the election or for the changing of the guard.
John, I do have.
Want to mention.
I just got a question. How detailed do you want it? Like repeater and aerial, or repeater, cavity, computer for the gateway, coax cable, and the same for the remote station?
I would say in the case of something like that, if it's if it's something that's worth money, like a cavity or something, I'd go ahead and itemize that as part of the you could itemize it as repeater and associated equipment and specify what the cavity is and what the power supply and all that. On just if somebody's holding a soldering iron or a multimeter or something that belongs to the club, just say such and such a brand, but multimeter model number, serial number, and that should suffice. Maybe if it's if there's a question of the condition, it would be good to report that too, because if it's a piece of junk that's worthless, we probably don't want to carry that on inventory as being an asset, but we probably want to go ahead and dispose of it at some kind of.
Yeah, I know one part of the repeater for D-Star is new. We bought it last year, but I don't know how old the rest of it is. And normal businesses, is something's older than 10 years, it's worthless. It's been depreciated as a business. from that
Okay.
point.
Well, on the D-Star repeater, I'm thinking, Win or whoever's, taking care of that might want to look at it and see what,
I'll be glad to go down to the repeater. I need to go down anyway and swap out a UPS. And I'll get the numbers of anything.
okay, thanks, Win.
We
Thank
do
you.
have old computers that are way past end of life, but I'll make a note of those and I'll take some pictures. And that's not a problem. I'm happy to document all the repeater units that's downtown.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
And then Ken and
All right,
I,
so that's,
Ken, you and I can go to the road station and write all that down,
Yeah,
okay?
and
John,
like I say, guys, there's no rush that we do this next week. It's just, I'd like to get all the information in and get it compiled, by October. Yeah, Tom, did you want
uh,
to say something?
with this being said, can a date be set, 2 weeks, a month? Otherwise, this thing can lag on for a period of time. People that, they approached us, said, we're gonna have all this stuff. You have it, then there's a lull and nothing more. So you're gonna set a
Well, no,
time frame.
There can't be a lull on this. We have to have this done by the end of the fiscal year. I'm not saying you got to run down there tomorrow and look at something, but if I would hope that in the next 2 weeks, anybody that
Okay.
has something could at least make it known to us. And even if you need another week or two to go photograph it or copy serial numbers or something, at least if we know it's out there, that should be reasonable.
Thank
A month's time, we ought to have most of the information. Yes, Matt.
I think you're absolutely right, John. And I wouldn't worry about the time frame, we 10 years doing this. Let's at least get started. And within 2 weeks, see where we are and then maybe re-examine it and see what next we need to do. But I think the important thing right now is to do what you have suggested and move on from there. And as I said, I'll send you the serial number of this power supply that belongs to the club tomorrow. I think you're
Okay.
absolutely right.
Well, it's just a good practice. We want to keep this running like a business, even though it's a fun club. We still should have our ducks in a row if anybody ever did decide to question the club or question any of the board about what they're doing. So I think it's just good practice. That being said, I'm going to turn this over to Ken at this point because I think he had something he wanted to say tonight too. So Ken, the floor is yours.
okay. The board's been discussing this, and as some of you know, Rats had some issues, and there's some accusations going around of treasurer doing some questionable behavior, which not necessarily that our board thinks I've done that, but I want to call.
I can assure you that's not the case, Ken.
Yeah, no, I just want to call for the club to vote that we need to do an audit. We've had an audit before, right before I became treasurer. Richard was audited, and apparently he was audited several years before that and whatnot. Mac, you said that you thought the audit was to be done every year. As treasurer, my first year, nobody said, hey, turn over your records to person X and there's going to be an audit. So I've gone 3.5 years without an audit. So I would like to request one so that there's no question of whether or not I've done anything wrong or improprietary. It also protects us in case somebody wants to make things up, that we have on record that there's an audit that has been done. One of the board members suggested a guy by the name of
Marshall Irvin.
Marshall Irvin, who had done the past ones. And the biggest question the board had was not so much who, but how much would it cost? I reached out to Marshall after the other board member had thrown his name out there. And first question I asked him, I said, Marshall, are you the guy who has done the audit for RARC in the past? He says, yeah, I've done them all. And I said, okay. Second question, would you be willing to do one for us again? He said, sure. He's a member of the club. He said, sure. I said, about how long would it take? He said, about a week. And I said, okay. I said, and the last question, how much is it going to cost us? And he says, I do it for the club for free. And I thought, well, that sort of pretty well cinches it. So I'd like to have an audit performed now in the month. He said he could easily get it done before the end of the month, since it only takes about a week. It's me getting the records to him looking it all over and doing his thing, and then telling us, writing a report or telling us a report of what he found. I want it just to sort of set the club. And then I would like to sort of ask that we set at some type of a time frame. I think the people on the board have said that, you know, before we turn it over to a new treasurer, we should always do one, which is what I guess has been done in the past. But that can make it a long time. As I say, I've got 3.5 years in without one. I would like it just to make sure I've been doing things right. You know, maybe my record keeping hasn't been up to snuff or something of that nature. And I'd just like to have it done to set everybody's mind at ease that we are not anyways near in the shape that RATS has been accused of, at least. And my understanding is that that's not true, but it's still the rumor and whatnot that's going around. It also does protect us from any liability. An audit having been done sort of helps guarantee that we're in good shape. I would, you know, I would think maybe at least every 2 years, if not every year, towards the end of the year. I'm asking for one now since it's free. My 2 cents on it is if we want to do another one in October, which would be right before it would be turned over if there is a new treasurer, and make that the norm. It's an inconvenience for me to do 2 in a year, but as I say, right now, I would clearly welcome one being performed. And so I'd like to have a motion. I'll make it as a motion myself that we have an audit and vote on it.
I have a question.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have some discussion on this.
Yeah.
First of all, as president, I agree with the concept of having an audit. It's got to be something that the board approves and sets in motion. It's not something any one of us can call for. I don't think
You
it's
don't
a
think
bad
the
idea.
club can vote to have an audit done?
I think the club can, but I still think the board needs to have some. Let's open this for discussion. I think Tom and Mac both had comments. Who wants to go first? Tom?
Okay, Mac, question to you. K4Y, yeah. Did not we used to have those things annually?
Yes,
'Cause
we
you,
did.
you and I, and maybe there's a couple others that have gone
Mhm.
back quite a few years in the
Yeah,
club.
Marshall
Not-
always did them. This year, I completely, while I'm talking, let me get this in. Ken, I have no problem at all with what you're doing. I trust you implicitly, and I don't think any member of the club or the board thinks you have done anything wrong. You're an excellent treasurer, and I want you to know that. The issue is not you, not at all. But I agree with you. We need to get something on the record to keep us out of the situation that RATS got into. But as far as your performance, it is excellent. And I want to go on the record as saying that.
I appreciate that. As I said, I want to call for it. I mean, you know, realize if anything's wrong, I'm the guy that's going to get in trouble. So I want it. And
Not really, all of us will.
well, I'm the one who made the mistakes, you know, I'm the one who's embezzling money. I'm the one who, you know, whatever it might be.
Pushing a pencil?
Which no, I'm not admitting by any means. I don't think I've done anything wrong, but I want to make sure that the club is in a protected place from liability, from anybody making any accusations that we're in the same boat as RATS or the same situation. And that's why I want to call for it. And as I say, to me, there's been all sorts of discussion of not having an audit done, but instead having a committee. And I think, you know, if we're going to do anything, a committee, if a committee looked at the books and said, hey, everything looks good, and then somebody sues you and you go to court and the judge says, so why do you think you guys are okay? And we said, well, the committee said it was all right. And the judge would ask flat out, any of you guys an auditor? And the answer would be, well, no. And the judge would say, well, you know, that doesn't hold anything. So that's why I want
Well, let me make a comment on that. There's precedent set for, and I talked to an IRS auditor about this, and she gave me the information. She said, in the case of a club, but particularly a club that's not really a full 501c3, there's no obligation to have an audit every year. For example, the Richmond Railroad Club was paying, I think, $5,000 or $8,000 a year for an audit. They are a 501c3. This auditor told me that's not necessary. You only need to do it once every 3 years if you have a financial committee. Now, the financial committee generally would be somebody who has either banking or legal knowledge as a chairman. In their case, they had a guy who was vice president of a bank who served as the treasurer, as the committee chairman, and they had 2 people on there who were, you know, in business enough to the point that they could read a checking account ledger and compare it to a bank statement and reconcile it.
my question is this, John.
Yeah.
Why do you want a committee rather than having an annual audit that's free?
If you get it for free,
I mean,
that's
the audit,
fine. But what
isn't
happens?
the audit the actual, what do you want to call it? That, I mean, that's what you're trying to get to. You're trying to verify that the treasurer has been doing accurate and not doing any funky stuff, not stealing money, not, you know, anything.
Right. Well, the
That's what the
financial committee
audit's
does a number
for.
of
The
things.
committee is sort of for what? I mean, just schedule an audit once a year and you don't need a committee. What would the committee give
As
you?
long as you can get that, as long as you can get that audit for free or at a reasonable price. If you got to go out and pay $1,000 or $8,000 like they were paying for an auditor to come in, for a CPA to come in there and do it every year, the club would be broke in 3 years. So, you know, the committee, I think you need an audit, you know, like the lady said, every 3 years. That's a fine thing. Whether you need it every year or not, I would question, since it's not required by the IRS.
Well,
John, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
I'm the one that brought up the committee, okay? I brought it up because I worked in a church committee, in a diocesan committee that was dealing with churches having problems. And the solution we came up with was a finance committee that did 2 things. Mostly what it did is it provided some cover for the treasurer, so that they couldn't attack the treasurer. They kind of hit the finance committee and bounced off there. I agree with the audit. I was just talking to Wynn. When we were presidents, we had an audit every year. It was just kind of standard sort of thing. And I think Marshall did it most years, didn't it? And so, you know, there's no harm. I think it's a good idea to have an audit every year. We do it. It's no harm. And we're not a poor club. We can spend some money on it. You don't necessarily have to have a certified CPA because we're not a 501c3. So an audit's fine. You can talk about the committee or not, doesn't make a difference. I brought it up because that was a solution that the Episcopal Church of Virginia came up with to solve problems with small churches. If you know you don't want to use it, that's fine. That's one of the only reason I brought it up.
yeah, you know, I would, as I say, I'd like to have an audit every year, do it now just to sort of clarify for the past 3.5 years, and then do it again in October, right before the new people take over. Marshall has been historically the person who does it. If the club doesn't want him to do it, we can find somebody else, I assume. But since he's offered to do it for free and he's done all the past ones, which have been satisfactory to the club over the years, as Bruce said, when he was president, when Wynn was president, acceptable. And he didn't charge us back then either. So as I say, I would like to get it done now. I would assume my assumption is, since there's nothing in the bylaws, there's nothing anywhere else. If the club votes to do it, it's done. If the board wants to vote to do it, it's done. But I'd like to get it, truly, I'd like to solve it tonight, have the club vote for it, and then Marshall, as I said, I can contact him to get the records to him, whatever it is that he needs. And we'll go from there, and he'll write a report and there. So,
I have a question.
sure.
Yeah. Mac, you want
Yeah, I have a question. Okay, I'm
to?
sorry, go
Okay,
ahead.
you go ahead.
All right. So
Mike,
I
go
I
ahead.
was, I was looking, I'm looking at the numbers that you just showed at the beginning.
Yeah.
So the gross net value is 19K.
Just under 20,000, basically.
Okay, so just under 20,000. So, I mean, I'm gonna come in as a business owner and for someone who has had to been responsible for financials. That's not a huge amount. Okay, so do we have a general ledger?
We have a general ledger. We have an accounting package that we bought called Light Ledger or something close to that. Prior to that, it was an Excel spreadsheet. When I became treasurer, I think within the first year, I found this cheap package and we converted everything to it. I converted it a year before I became treasurer. And since then, I have gone back and entered, I think it's 10 years. If you give me a second, I can tell you exactly how far back we go inside the package.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead. I'm
Sure.
looking up.
Is there a possibility to put it up on the RARC website as a read-only document for members to see, and then that kind of eliminate everything?
The stuff is inside a program that you have to have that program. So the answer would be no. I go all the way back.
You can't just do a screenshot of the report?
Here, where are we?
John,
Here, let me show you real quick here, guys, since we're talking about it. Here.
Mac, I'll get to you in a second.
okay,
Okay, here's where the stuff is inside this ledger. It's called Ledger Light for the Richmond Amateur Radio Club. We have one thing. It sort of looks like a checkbook. I go back to January 1st of 2020 or 2010 rather, excuse me. And that is the time frame when Richard moved the bank account to B of A, which is where it's at now. And we go all the way up to basically current. So it's inside this. This is the information that Marshall is going to want. You can see we can do a balance. We can do an income statement. There's all sorts of reports that this thing has inside it. But that's basically the package that.
Ken, to answer the question that was brought up on the floor, can you publish the monthly report that you give the club, the treasurer's report? Can you publish that as a PDF or whatever you want to publish it as on the website?
Yeah, it's basically, we'll give you even some more insight, more than anybody really wants to know, I'm sure. But let me share this with you. Here. There's the treasurer's report. That's the one I just gave you. That's July. There's June's, May's, April's, goes all the way back. It's different things in the spreadsheet.
Okay, I'm thinking if you could publish that, that would answer the question that was brought up.
Yeah, see this, as I say, and you realize this is pulled from that data in that database, that the package I showed you.
Right.
what I did, what Richard used to do is he used to take and literally, he had a spreadsheet. He would copy the deposits and stick those into another spreadsheet and have it and total it and do the same thing. The package gives you the ability to export all of the data into a CSV file. I wrote some code to read that CVS file and create this.
Right.
So I did it because I'm lazy. I truly hate to do cut and paste every month. And just to real quick, this is not truly August, but if I were to go into August and go to the macro that says I want to run the treasurer's report, there's a treasurer's report. It's the same as the July one, but that's how fast I can create the treasurer's report. And I'm too lazy to do it manually.
John?
Well,
And I do have
yes.
one comment. If the new if we get to a different treasurer, not me, the good news is that if that treasurer doesn't understand this and doesn't want to do it, great, just don't do it. Do it manually. You just have to do the damn job. Oh, excuse me. You just have to do the job.
John?
We had a couple.
I can
couple
pull this and
comments.
convert this to a PDF. Shouldn't be that hard. I probably can, well, Excel won't save it directly, but PDF itself might be able to go in and pull it and
Okay.
create it.
We got a number of people want to comment. Matt, you were first, so go ahead. Matt, did you want to comment?
Was that,
Were you, I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to comment again?
you taught me?
Yeah.
I've got an audio problem here.
I saw you raise your hand. That's why I
I
thought you wanted
did.
to
I
say
He
something.
did.
First, I think we ought to honor Ken's request because he seems to have some concerns that people may think he's not doing things correctly, and we can do that. But I think the term audit, and I talked to another member of the club, and they suggest we not do audit because that implies a heavy whatever, rather use the word review. That would be the standard. So my suggestion is that we give Ken what he's asking for and put off the idea of the committee, and that would be John, because that's strictly a thing for the president and the board to come up with. If they want a committee, fine. If they don't, okay. And I had a motion I published. I don't think this is the time to present it because there's a motion on the floor, but I would like to present it and see what the group thinks about it at a point or another. But I think we need to honor Ken's request to have a clearing review right now. And and again, Ken, I have no problem whatever with what you're doing. I don't think you've done anything but, the right thing every time. But I do think we ought to wait on committees and let John and the board decide which way they want to go. Okay, I'm through.
Joey, did you want to say something?
I was gonna make a motion.
Gene, I'll get to you in a second.
I was just gonna make a
Wait,
motion,
before you,
John.
Oh, we got
Before
Dennis
you make a
down here
motion,
had
let me
his
see what-
hand up.
before you, Joey, before you make your motion, Gene had something he wanted to say. Let's go ahead and finish the discussion and then we'll take the motion.
Yeah, I'm just going to second what Max said. That was going to be my question. It looks like we're talking about two very different things. We have to do something that Ken's asking and get that out of the way. And then on the longer term, I'm just repeating your words, Max. On a longer term, the board and or a committee within the board has to make a decision on whether we need a finance committee. And I think it's two very different things. I support the idea that we do something in the short term just to make sure everybody's comfortable as to where we are right now.
Okay. Any other discussion on this?
Yeah, I'd like to say that where clubs can't, we go elect boards, so the club can't sit around and talk about this thing for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, big organizations like this can't, you just kind of rumble around, everybody has a comment, which is why we elect the board of directors and officers, and do that stuff. So, I mean, I trust the board and the officers to make that decision. I think we'll spend forever just mulling this around the club. That's my opinion. I think we gotta get off.
Bruce, I heard about 10% of what you said. Could you get close to the mic and say it again?
You know, I thought this hybrid stuff was a good idea. I think it's not such a great idea. Anyway, clubs can't deal with this kind of minutia very well. Organizations of this size can't. You go crazy. You talk about it for hours. That's why you elect boards of directors. That's why you elect selectmen in New England, that sort of thing. So I think we could trust the board and the officers to figure this out. It's fine for, it's good to bring it out, talk about it, and maybe we need to have finish the motion, but I think we need to let the directors and the board take care of it, instead of all of us standing around kind of mulling it from screen to screen. It's particularly difficult to do on Zoom. So hopefully we can move it along. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. I'd like to offer something on this. If we go ahead and take a vote on this tonight as a membership, I think that it should be, the motion should state that we as the membership agree to do this, but I think the board still needs to agree to it too. And I would be willing to present the information that we come up with tonight to the board, get everybody's vote on that, and go ahead and proceed with that. And I think, I think this could be done in a day or 2 with an email vote of the board.
John?
So
Just-
keep that in mind.
John?
Yeah.
If you look,
You can.
there's 5 board members at this meeting. You,
Okay,
me,
then
Matt,
we have a-
Joey, Robin.
Then we have a quorum.
Yeah.
We have a quorum of the board, so we're good then. Okay, Joey, did you want to say something else?
Well, no, I was gonna make a motion that we do an audit now and do an audit in October of every year before the election, or if we have to change the treasurer before the annual audit.
Joey,
Okay.
just so you realize, the election is in October,
All right,
and the
September then.
new person takes office in November.
All right.
Okay,
Okay?
so we
Matt,
can
did
have
you
the
have
audit in
something, Matt?
October and he'd be set for November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point of
Matt?
order, John.
Yes, sir.
I believe Ken
Yes,
has
sir.
a motion on the floor and
Yeah,
a
thank you.
parliamentary procedure. We need to deal with that first
Yeah.
and then go back to the second motion if we're going to do this according to coil.
All right,
Okay. So Ken, can you state your motion for exactly for the secretary?
Oops, hold on a second here. We got somebody coming in.
I mean, Joey made the motion. Joey made the motion. So Joey, can you state the motion that you're making so that
No.
the secretary will have it in?
No, Ken had one on the floor. I thought.
I had
You had
one
one before.
I wanted the club to vote to have an audit done now.
Okay, so it's your motion.
I
And
agree, except let's call it a review.
Yeah, a review. Okay, anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Second, let's vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, and we are gonna have an audit, a review.
John, do you want to pull the board members that are here? The
Yeah, let
5?
me talk to the board tomorrow, just to, make it.
Well,
give
you
the
got
ones
a
that weren't
quorum
tonight
right
an
here,
opportunity.
John.
John, you have a quorum.
Yeah, I know we have a quorum. Yeah, I'll just announce it to the board that there was to the rest of the board members, that there was a quorum. We voted on it and it's a done deal, I guess. So
So now,
tomorrow you should be able to,
do you want me to
Yeah,
contact,
go
wait
ahead.
till after you contact the board to contact?
yeah, let me just talk to the other 3 board members in the morning. I should get a quick response and I'll let you know during the day tomorrow if it's okay to go ahead and proceed.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's okay, it's obviously it's okay, but I just want to get the other board members in on what we're doing.
Okay.
It's a big step.
Okay, I
Okay.
appreciate it, everybody. As I say, I don't think I've done anything wrong, but I would like to just clear the air because of what did happen with the rats people. Thank you all.
Yeah, understood. I think it's a good idea.
John,
Yeah, Joey.
move my motion to the board that we do an audit now, one in October before we change the president in the interim. An annual October, now an annual in October, and if we ever have to change the treasurer in the middle of the year, audit it before the new one takes over.
I would object to that. I just think we let the board handle it.
The what? I can't understand him.
I said, I think we let the board handle it, not have.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
the board change it how they need to change it.
all right. Well, that was to the board, but anyway, okay.
Okay.
We vote on it.
I'll wait for it to come out,
I'll-
John, and I'll put it, would you send the
Yeah,
email
I'll
out to the
address-
board?
I'll-
I'll make that motion. All right.
I'll address this to the whole board tomorrow, and we'll come up with an answer hopefully before the end of the day. Somebody raised their hand.
Might have been me unless somebody else did. Bill and.
No, it was Rick. It was Rick, OHM. Rick, what you got?
I think I was the one that did it, but I'll take my hand down. I have nothing to say.
No, I thought I saw Rick raise his hand.
I'm good, John. I didn't,
Okay.
not intentionally.
Oh, okay, all right, good. All right, so that takes care of the business that Ken had for tonight. Does anybody else have anything to discuss tonight?
I got a comment.
Go ahead.
Bill N4WLC. I think what Ken is asking for is good to protect him, although I wouldn't get too deep into this. I think as far as saying the board should be able to look over this stuff. Also, as I mentioned, having the records out there for the members to see would be ideal. I also wanted to state that it was not the just recently resigned treasurer that was accused. It was a prior treasurer. And as far as I am aware, it's unfounded. There's no proof against that prior treasurer of the accusations that were made. So I just wanted to clarify that it was not our recently resigned treasurer. He did an exemplary job. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Bill. I appreciate that. All right, any other discussion of reports or what? Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
I was gonna make a motion, but I'm gonna hold that off for the board. But I would like to read something I had in here, not as a motion, just for general information, if I may.
Sure.
My third item, all of you have this, if I sent you an email. The results, well, no member of the sitting committee can serve on the review board, et cetera, but the results of the review audit, if you will, shall be reported to the RARC executive summary to the members. That is, the board will get the thing and then we will publish it in the newsletter so that the membership will be up to speed. I think that if there's any question about the treasurer, and again, Ken, I have no problem with you, so don't, you're not in this. Any member can get this, but this I think would provide a higher standard of protection because we're very open, we've got transparency. Any member can look at the thing, and I think all the things been discussed tonight would be covered by this because we're now setting up a system which we don't have to do the things that we needed to get done in terms of money. And I found over the years, both in graduate school and the government, when you're talking about money, that is a problem magnet all over the place because all you have to do is miss one penny and somebody is going to make a big deal about it. And I think to protect Ken, to protect the board, protect the club, we ought to do what we're doing tonight. So thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree, Mac. And let me say something too about all of this. Remember, we're talking about $20,000 or 20, whatever it is right now. For us to fulfill the goals at the club, has set up for itself in the last year with education and stuff, we're going to be talking about a lot more money because we're going after grants. And just like we got $1,000 grant, dropped on us like pennies from heaven, there's going to be more grants coming in. So we possibly could be talking about, more, if not a considerable amount more money coming into the treasury. So I think it's good that we're protecting the club and the members the way we are. All right, so any other discussion tonight? Then I guess we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting and turn this over to our education
moved.
program tonight. All in favor? Oh, second?
Aye.
Anybody second?
Second.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Mike Freeman and I have, Mike Freeman actually is the one has been working on some of the upcoming programs for us. He had planned to have something tonight that we are gonna probably have next month because the person couldn't be with us tonight. You all are familiar with Ham Radio Outlet. We're gonna have somebody from Ham Radio Outlet that'll be probably coming to talk to us next month about what Ham Radio Outlet can offer and so forth. I mean, we have a ham store close enough that we could sneak up there without our wives knowing about it. So, it's a good idea that we find out what Ham Radio Outlet can do for us. So I plan to do that next month if Mike can get everything together. And I appreciate Mike's help on doing that. If any of you all we have a couple more months, that aren't booked for presentations. If any of you all have a presentation you want to do, just let me know and we'll put you on the calendar. In the meantime, tonight on very short notice and with a great deal of graciousness about it, Ken Zatavern has agreed to talk to us about, I think he's going to talk to us about winding coils tonight, the right way to wind coils. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to him and let's go with it. Thank you. Ken?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. Ken, can you give me a screen share?
You have it, Ken, I think.
Okay, great. Now all I have to do is find what I was looking for.
You're on Windows at the bottom of the screen.
Control.
The green thing.
Oh, share. There we go. All right, there we go. Tonight I'm going to talk about winding coils, primarily on toroids. First of all, it doesn't sound very interesting. It's sort of like knowing how to paint a fence, but there are some different techniques and there are some things involved in winding toroids. They're necessary in a lot of radios, and in some cases, people are a little concerned as to how to do that. Tonight, I'm going to work on some toroids from this particular radio. This is a digital FTH type of transceiver put out by Hans Summers, G0 UPL. He's a designer of many radios, many circuits. I probably have about maybe 6 or 7 of his QSP type, all different kinds. This a cute little radio here. It's 4 bands. If we could mute all of yours.
Yeah, person with the dog, mute yourself, please.
Oh, okay. It's a 4-band radio, low power, 5 watts, whatever. All you need is a laptop, basically, and you can run this. It goes for about $160 plus $20 for the case. Let's see, I need to go to a speaker view here. Comes in, let's see, I need a different one here.
You drive me crazy sometimes.
What happened to my?
Here.
There we go. Comes in with a nice little case. Right. Aluminum.
Right.
Put it together. And why do I keep changing here? I'm losing my audio. It basically comes with this circuit board. All right. And there's a number of components you put in there, capacitors, resistors. And those are fairly easy. Everyone knows how to do those. It's the coils. The ones over here are your bandpass filters, you know, and things like that. And how come I'm losing? I keep losing my feed here. The rest of, you know, this is the kit. These are the parts. A little bag here. This one's got the resistors, capacitors, transistors in. But these are the coils here. All right. And you know, you can see that they're not real large. They're kind of small. And with these fingers here, which I have neuropathy, you know, so my feeling is very limited in my fingers. I have had to develop some different ways of working, of winding coils. Winding the toroids is, you know, is not rocket science, but it's more of a technique on how this is done. He starts out. He puts together just a fantastic manual. You can see that the instructions are, you know, top level. And, you know, if you follow the instructions, you can't go wrong. I watch the, you know, some of the, you know, the feed that comes through with people complaining about errors and stuff like that. And most of them, the problem is they didn't read the instructions. You know, they did not, you know, and I'm kind of person, I'm sort of guilty of that. I don't read instructions very well. I just jump into things. And so I make a lot of mistakes. And so I've learned also how to correct those mistakes and eventually get something going and working, but it takes me longer oftentimes. The parts are nicely laid out, put together, labeled fairly well, although like the resistor, capacitors rather, to read them, you know, it's very small print. On the resistors, where's you know, some resistors. Anyway, they don't show the resistors. The Chinese, who make very, very good parts, also have this problem of they can't recognize red from orange. And so a lot of resistors, you know, it looks exactly, you know, the same. You know, he starts out basically telling you that this stuff is small, should use a magnifying glass, you know, to do some of these. You know, it's got a nice table of contents, you know, to, you know, help you go on. Things are numbered. It's the documentation is very, very nice. This is what it looks like when it's all together. All right, this is a shot of it. These are the coils, the toroids that are bandpass ones. This one here is the power transformer. No, this one here is the power transformer, basically. This is a multi-tap on, as is this here. And this one's kind of interesting because the coil is 3 wires that are coiled together. So now let's see, I can't. Here's what I want. I want this here part. All right. Well, let's start with the. Okay, this is interesting. This is what's called a binocular ferrite, right? And it's because it kind of looks like a binocular with two little holes. But this one's kind of interesting. He's got a couple different wires in here, different gauges. They're easy to recognize. You can easily see the difference in the wire size, just by eyeballing them. And the one thing, let's see, I gotta stop share. Okay. And the one thing, this is, the little packet of wire. One thing I always do is always take my thumbnail, to straighten it out to get rid of the kinks that were in there. You can see this one here is still kind of wiggly, but of course, you lose a thumbnail sooner or later. If you're into manicures, it's not going to do very good. The first one here, I'll look at my cheat sheet. Let's see, he does give you a list here of how long the wire should be for it.
Lay down.
Yes, question. Okay. All right, going back to the screen here. All right. All right. Sometimes I say the past two. All right. Why is those one transformer used for two to 3 turns in there? All right. This is the 22 gauge wire. And he mentions he has also straightened it out. All right. First, there are 3 turns through here. So we'll do this here. I'm gonna chop off a piece of this here. And he says, oops, go through there. Now, it's hard to see that. Now you can use a magnifying glass, or in my case, I just get a pair of these glasses. You can see this is a 3X, power 3. So they're really, these are dollar glasses from dollar store. And they work very well, as opposed to spending a lot of money on a very expensive one. All right, the first one through here. And then we got to go back again. I don't know if you can see. In the hole there. Okay, there's my first turn in there. And my second turn. All right. And then the third turn. So there's my third 3 turns. All right. And then here is what we want to leave. This is going to be cut later on. And let's see, where's my camera? There it is. This will be cut later on. Okay. So there's those 2. Now, again, straighten the wire out. And we want to go on the other side for 2 turns. Now, I'm not sure how long a wire I'm going to need. So I'm not going to cut this one because I may cut it too short. Okay, I lost, there we go. I lose my feed every once in a while. Need a little bit more wire on there. Like I say, this is sort of like, you know, watching a fence paint dry. It's also handy to have, you know, some nice little needle nose pliers, you know, because it's easier to, you know, kind of grip the wire, you know, and pull it out. You can get a little leverage on there. All right. So basically, that's pretty much is what it is for the binocular. I need to do some more work on this here, but you know, it's not that interesting anyway. The other thing, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do some of these here toroids. Now, this tells you here exactly how the wire length, which is kind of nice to have. But if you don't have a you know, a schedule like that that shows you the wire length, this is the 28 gauge wire. Let's see. This is a lot finer wire, and there was a kink in there that can't be. Straighten it out. And he says take about 36 centimeters. Let's see my centimeter scale here on my. $36. Okay, about this much. And
Ken, could you move your camera down or back a little so we can see more of your hands?
okay,
You need to, Ken, you need to work between the green line and your mouse.
see, I'm losing my feed here. All right. Try and see here. All right. What I do, if I don't know the length of it, I'll take and put one loop in here. All right. Fold it over and then cover it all the way. So I get one entire. Okay. You drop it on the floor.
Ken, we can't see your hands. If you can get closer to the pliers, it would be in screen.
I'm going to change this here to this. All right. And here you can see there's my one loop in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off. Exactly here. And the other side. So I got one little loop in there, and then take that out. All right. So this is my length of wire for one loop. All right. And I measure that. And I get that upside down. That's upside down. I gotta go this way with it. Okay. And let me go back to the other screen. That was too much.
Yeah, to
Okay,
yes.
there we go. There's my length, which looks like it's about 16, 17 millimeters. All right. I multiply that by 24 times 16 or whatever comes out fairly close to 36. Now, what I do is I leave an extra 1.5 inches of wiring, off of the toroid, and I add at least 1 or 2 extra turn lengths in case I don't have enough turns in there. So 24, I basically set it up almost for 26 links, and
clearly no fishermen out there. KI5 HDS.
And then I don't, because you can always shorten these wires. Real hard to add to.
Using wires X, so I'm not sure that matters. Are you on a repeater or what?
Okay, well.
Well, here in Cincinnati and Hamilton County specifically, there's a fellow that has a
Whoever has the open mic, can you mute?
All right. Okay, winding here is fairly easy, especially if you got smaller fingers. What I do is I'm putting my thumb over the last winding. All right. Take the wire and put it, got to straighten it out a little bit more. Wire and put it through there. All right. And then pull it. Of course, it bounces back always. There, I'll pull it, give it a little bit of a tug. And that's the first winding, and now things will be a little bit easier after this here. I put my thumbnail over that first winding in there. And then I'm going to start my second one here. And because my thumbnail is there, when I pull the winding through, it all goes over my thumbnail and doesn't lap over the previous winding. You know, if you do cross over some winding, it really doesn't make any difference because, you know, it's this here current going through the wire is generating a magnetic field. The magnetic field doesn't really care if, you know, the windings are lapped over or perfectly straight. I like to make it perfectly straight because, you know, it just looks nice, looks pretty. So here's the next one. So now they're kind of spaced. That's no problem. I can always just take and squeeze them together a little bit. All right. And then another one. Put my thumb over that winding. Pull it through. So there I've got a bunch of windings on there so far. And now the thing is, counting them is very, well, not very, but the way you count these here is on the inside. Let me go to my magnifier. You can see on the inside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Never count them on the outside, but inside of the toroid is what you should count. That gives you most accurate figure. All right. So that's, you know, pretty much all you got to do. There's some other techniques here. Now, I don't want to sit here and wind this whole thing because that's going to be kind of boring. The next thing that he talks about is, you know, when you plug this into the circuit board, you got to get the enamel coating off the wire. All right, you need to make sure that you've got a good contact in there. And you know, he suggests that you take and put it in, you know, your circuit board, and just keep the solder iron on it, and you know it will melt. Some room here. All right. The best way that I bare these wires is, you know, I use a X-Acto knife, and you just got to be careful that you don't use a real sharp one because you end up cutting the wire. But basically, you pull the wire across. Where's my camera here? Pull the wire across, just like this here. Never turn the wire, the knife into the wire because it'll cut it, you know, it'll break it. You want to have it, you're scraping it, you know, sort of backwards. And you can tell, you know, if it slides real easy, it means that it's sliding over the enamel coating. And you do the other side here. You can also use sandpaper or emery cloth, you know, will also work. All right. Now, the problem is this actually match? it says for this first one, L3, it should be with what's the 26 turn, should be 2.88 millihenry. Well, how do I know that? I mean, I've got to be able to test it some way. Well, fortunately, there is a device. This is it right here. These Amazon has these for, I don't know, $20, $25, something like that, whatever. They run on 5 volts. I label it to make sure 5 volts because I stuck a 12-volt power supply in there, and it makes a very funny sound and smell, and it doesn't work after that. So 5 volts, let's see. All right. What I did is I have here, these are inductors, 4.7 microhenry. These are probably very, very accurate in terms of, all of this is a little teeny tiny coil of wire in there, manufactured by a machine. So there shouldn't be too many stages, no chemistry involved. So this is 4.7 microhenries. And this is saying now that, 4.713, close enough. I mean, basically almost all of the stuff works, with 10%. So overrange. Well, you got to disconnect it first of all. Anyway, so that tells me that this machine is halfway decent accurate. All right, there's a calibration thing on here. Why does this not focus? Anyway, well, they're calibrating. And I'm going to see how much inductance this coil is. What did I, get here? Now, I didn't finish all the winding, so it should be less. It's not going to be the 2.88 millihenry, but basically one clip goes to here. And one clip goes in here. No, I gotta disconnect it and calibrate it. All right, and so it's telling me I got 923 nanofarads, much smaller than what I need on here. With just, what about 5 or 6 loops or something like that. So after I finish my 26 turns on here, I should put it on, and hopefully I'll come within 2.88 microhenries. If I'm low, I can always add a loop. I got extra wire, so I can add a loop. If I'm high, I can take a loop off. So this meter to me has been invaluable, in working with any kind of coils to make sure I got the right thing, the right values. Now, one other thing that I've learned to do is get a old pair of pliers, holding on to this here right by the turning loop. It's a nice handy way of holding this. Well, said that too soon, didn't I? You don't want to put too much pressure on here because you can snap the coil. the toroid in half. All right. Come on, read through. All right, so it's kind of easier to hang on to this way. And if I, if I'm worried about, the going over loop, I can always push this over further before I tighten it and then pull it back. All right. So that's another way, of being able to handle these small loops. And basically, that is about it. These here, larger ones, are a bit easier to work with, twice the size. These are, the 1/4 inch ones, and this is measured by the inner diameter. So these are 1/4 inch, these are 1/2 inch ones. They all are designated by a number here, T37. The 37, I think, is the mix on there. And it's nice that they mark them, as a color. They color code them. Now I have some like this here that I got, and I got those from some on eBay or something like that. I don't know what they are. I could maybe test them to find out. But if these have a mix, they may be good for power, for 60 cycle stuff, but may not work very well for, high frequencies, 1 megahertz and above. And the reason is that there more iron or whatever is in here, I believe. The magnetic field would be stronger, and it's better for distributing power from one winding to another, from a primary to a secondary, right? But if you're using it as a filter or something like that for high frequencies for 10 megahertz, it would have a tendency to absorb the magnetic field, but for some reason it would not be picked up as well. I mean, and in some cases, there's not a secondary on it, so it would just have a tendency to absorb most of your power. So these can be tested to figure out what they're used for. I mean, they're real cheap. If nothing else, they look like nice rings or something, and give them to the kids. All right. This is the board ultimately that we want to populate. All right. One of the things you got to be careful of is an awful lot of the holes are very close together. And if you use the wrong hole for the wrong wire, you got a problem. And which means you got to fix the board. So, I don't know how many of you, build like I do. I have a tendency to make a lot of mistakes. And so I have to go back and repair them. So board repair becomes very interesting. So, you can solder, unsolder the hole, and try and tap out the liquid solder. You can use solder wick. Solder wick is nothing more than a really fine copper wire that's braided together, that has a little bit of coated with rosin so that it absorbs things. Or this here is a little kit. And it's designed for surface mount devices to remove them, because surface mount devices, you look at this, you've got 16 pins or, here's this one's got 4 on each side. So if you, put and heat one pin and then the next one, by the time you get the second pin, the first one's already solidified, so you're not going to get these things loose by doing that. Well, this device here has this loop. This is a kind of like a solder. It's an alloy, but it melts at a much lower point than what solder does, and it'll stay liquid actually for about 30 seconds. So what you do is on here you sort of smear it over all 4, of the pads there. And then, the other side, and then tweezers, you can easily, pick this up and remove it. Then you take your solder wick and sop up the excess solder that's in there. In the tube here is a rosin paste or gel. You can also get liquid rosin, which I use a lot, and you can, dab it on spots. But this works fairly well. And, if you have a board like this and you've got something soldered in here, you can do that. And it stays liquid for a while. The other side, just pull one side of the part off, do the other leg, pull it off, clean it up a little bit with some solder wick, and then, prepare, put the new part in. This here, I think, is about $20 or something. Again, you can get this on Amazon. Amazon is just amazing for the number of price you can get. The one other thing that I have gotten also is one of these here. It looks like a pen, but the tip is fiberglass. And basically, it is used for cleaning, the pads. This board is, nice. It's, made fairly within the last year but a lot of times you'll get a board that you want to work on, and the pads on there have a little bit of film or corrosion on it. And this does a real good job of taking off. And because it's fiberglass, it doesn't wear out the pad or do any damage to it. All right. They have another one. Some of them have. This one's got steel. If you really want to do some serious, scraping of that. And let's see. Look my other notes. Winding. A coil that has multiple taps on it. All right. This is the one that did recently. I have yet to install it. But basically, you kind of do it like this here. You wind a coil, and then you take one winding, you make a strong loop, and then go back and finish coiling it. You get to this one, take a long loop out, continue winding. This one has short ones because it's supposed to fit into a multi-position switch, which means that you're going to have to move all of these things to reposition them to get them in the right spot. But this one is got a 24 gauge wire, which is a little more difficult to work with. But this is also I think that's a 5/8 or 3 and maybe a 3/4 inch hole in there. So, and you got something a little bit more to hang on to. It's you can keep your fingers in there and your thumb and be able to manipulate it. I've never tried any of these larger ones with pliers. The real small cores, sometimes it works very good. Sometimes my dexterity is very good, and I can do just as good a job, holding on to it and threading it. Sort of like, almost like sewing or something like that. Now here is a very, very interesting one. I'm gonna bring this here up on the screen so we can see it better. And where's, oh, screen share. Okay. Now I'm going to make a coil out of this wire, out of this braided wire. All right. And it's going to look like this. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 7 loops on that one. Maybe it's older. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 loops on it. Of 3 wires that are fitted together. Wow, how the heck do you do that? Well, here's got a suggestion here. He says tie it to a nail or whatever, and then twist it forever. That to me looks like too much work. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. First of all, how long? 3 lengths, 20 centimeters each. Okay, so first of all, I got to get the length of the wire done here. Oh man, it's all coming apart.
Ken, I gotta cut out of here. It's very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, what is 20 centimeters each. 10, 20 centimeters. Okay, so there's one. At least I ought to show you the tangle that I have. Here's, isn't this here cute ever? Look at that. I managed to tangle this up real good. Oop, there's a kink in there that I gotta make sure I get out. All right, let's see if I got, there's 20, there's 20, and then there's 20. And I'll do a little extra here. Okay. All right. There's 3 wires, actually 20 centimeters long each. And because I'm lazy, I'm going to do it a little differently. Now, you need to set your drill to very low speed, because if it takes off suddenly real fast, you're going to end up with wires you'll never get in. This is supposed to have, I think he said about 60 turns for the entire length on there. Okay. Well, there, that didn't take very long, did it? You know, look pretty evenly spaced. No, it's a shame that you don't have more coils like that you can do that more often, because that was sort of fun. Okay, clip the ends here to even them up. All right. And let's see, what coil does that go on to? Oh, look at the directions here. Okay, goes there. Big black one. Okay. So this is gonna be kind of interesting. This one. Okay, there's my initial starter. Well, why is there so much of a shadow here? The first loop through. The second loop through. A third loop through. I guess I need 10 of these here. Oops. Keep all the ends together. Wonder how many turns that is. So 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Eight. I understand now why when they make videos, you know, demonstrations like this, they have a cameraman and somebody that controls where the camera is and how to do that, you know, work at the same time. Well, that's at least at 10 or 11. It's kind of not too bad looking coil. Sloppy. Now, the thing is, with this coil, you gotta, let's see, I gotta undo this. Where's, okay, there's the legs that come out of here. Total of 6 of them. And those 6 will go into there's the 6. Now, the thing is, what you got to do is identify the actual coils so that you got an A coil, B coil, and C coil. You know, just you can do that with an ohm meter. You know, and then that coil, where does it go? Right in here. So that coil goes right in here. You can see there's 3 holes on the top and 3 holes on the bottom. All right. So, you know, as long as, you know, I guess the first one is both A and the second one is both B and third one is both C, you know, you got your coil winding right. You know, his instructions are probably much more elaborate that tell you how to do that than what I perceive, because I haven't really read all of these. You should, but I'm lazy. Okay. That's about it. Any questions? Is the paint dry yet? You know, on the fence? Kind of boring in a way.
That was super, you doing that.
Well, I don't know, you know, it's you know, I had very little time to prepare for this, so a lot of this is just, you know, I'm sort of winging it and trying to put something together so that it makes sense, and I hope it does. But a lot of these things are, you know, just stuff I've experienced. I mean, it's I probably would know all this already if I would have known some old guy that had done this for a while, you know, because you learn this, I think, by making mistakes. And, you know, you got, you know, something like this here, you know, and it looks very complicated, like, geez, you know, I would never be able to do that. Huh? You start trying and doing it, and, you know, I know, you know, other people that have been able to put this together, the windings, and got things out. And I'm going to, the 10 or 12 position switch or whatever that this goes to, I'm not going to try and attach these points directly to the switch lugs. I don't think I can do that. From the switch, I'm going to put out about a 3/8 of an inch piece of wire, bare wire, on each one of those lugs, you know, and then tin these here points, you know, so that I can solder to them. And then I can adjust the tin wires back and forth a little bit more to be able to line it up with this here. You know, I think that'll work. That is from a kit. This here one.
Upside down. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the
Okay.
QRP tuner.
Yeah. There it is.
And the trick is getting the knob on that switch without breaking the switch.
Well, you know, that's the other thing too. I haven't gotten that far. You know, you know, it's just a plastic one. But the thing is, I don't think I could line up all of these points here, you know, so that they're going to fit on there, you know, so that they'll match or mate. You know, first of all, there's a difference in size. So if on each one of these here, if I put, you know, a short wire, I can bend that up and down, you know, have a better chance of connecting to here. The problem is I got to make sure it doesn't go back too far. I got to keep it fairly close because there's, you know, there's not that much room inside here, you know, for it. And, you know, you can see already, you know, a little spot. So the other thing I want to do, you know, here's the, there was the SDR tester here. And this, you know, it basically lights an LED. And when the LED lights, it lights up at 2.8 volts. All right. And below that, you know, the voltage would be less, which means probably the SDR would be much less. So I'm going to try and put like a little digital voltmeter, a miniature digital voltmeter that does not require any power source on it. And I'll see if I can read that voltmeter down to maybe 1 volt. That would, you know, get a little bit better indication rather than just the red light coming on. So, you know,
Ken, there's a defect in that board. If you look at the where the transformer goes on it, it says 2 turns and 3 turns or 4 turns.
Oh,
it's backwards.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you push, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that far yet. Oh.
You guy
Yeah.
printed the board wrong.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's where debugging comes in. and even so many times it's not even your mistake. So, you know, the art of building things is very interesting. And in some case, it is a little bit of an art because you've got to come up with innovative ways of doing stuff, you know, that, you know, your hands just don't work, your fingers, you know, are numb or whatever. And, you know, you got to find alternative ways. That's
Ken, I want to thank you for putting this together. I know you did this on short notice and bailed us out. So thanks a lot again.
Well, thank you. You know, I'm never, you know, afraid of talking, you know, so.
Well, thank you. You did a good job. I know we all appreciate it.
I appreciate
All right,
it.
everybody.
Okay. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.